I'd like to welcome everyone to the Widening Impacts webinar series. My internet connection seems to be unstable, so if I blank out, Hande, please take over. And so today's webinar is on the WaterWise story, an excellence hub on water and the circular economy. We have two more webinars this spring on June 13th, Changing, Connected Hubs and Aging, Healthy Living to Protect Cerebrovascular Function, and June 27th, Meta-Cities, an excellence hub in Southeastern Europe. And so with that, I will turn it over to Hande, who will be moderating this session.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for an important and interesting seminar from the WaterWise project. Dear George Bariamis will be presenting the project today. As you know, water is an important and critical resource, and the EU has seen this importance with the new water resilience strategy uploaded and announced in regard to using water resources effectively and wisely. It is not just a sustainable resource as is mentioned by the project, but it is a regenerative source that is important in the resources that we have. And I would like to open and give the floor to dear George with their own slogan in regard to what if we see water differently, and we would like to see how and why this project is important in respect to collaboration as well as effective resource management. So without further ado, dear George, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Hande, for the introduction, and welcome everyone to the Spring 2025 edition of the Widening Impacts webinar. My name is George Bariamis. I'm coming from the National Technical University of Athens in the UA, and today I'm going to walk you through our journey in building the WaterWise Excellence Hub. Let me start by giving you a roadmap of what we are going to cover today. First of all, we are going to zoom out to look at the broader EU context and the key water challenges that we face at EU and in the widening region. We will explore how the WaterWise Excellence Hubs fits into this context and how we designed it to tackle these issues. From there, we go to our origins and what make our consortium a unique and by utilizing the quadruple helix innovation model. In the end, we are going to present to you our early findings of the quadruple helix stakeholder mapping. And finally, we are going to share with you our vision for the future as an excellence hub. As you can see and you feel, the EU already experiences significant challenges at the continental level. One of the two major challenges that we face is the water scarcity and the degraded water quality. We have legacy systems that are outdated and hinder some smart water solutions. We have the pressures from the climate and the increasing costs, and we have indicators that the circular economy is lagging from year to year. On the right side of the slide, you can see some early results from the third WFD reporting across the EU, which indicates that agriculture, industry, hydromorphological pressures, water abstractions and pollutions are still exerting significant pressures to more than 30, 40, even 50% of the number of the surface and groundwater bodies, respectively. So what we can do, we must respond to these growing pressures in terms of climate, costs, and what we need is a real circular transition. When we talk about the wastewater treatment in the European Union, we easily assume that we have uniform approaches, but this is not the case. In many countries, over 90% of the sewage is treated based on the highest standards, but in the meantime, we have some treatment rates under 20%. Here we present the three key numbers from the EU level. and from the two ecosystem partners from Romania and Greece, and the key numbers about the operational urban wastewater treatment plants and the levels of water reuse and sewage sludge reuse in agriculture. Here we present from the WISE Freshwater, the country profiles of the urban wastewater treatment plant, some key statistics from the rest of the widening countries, where we can see that the disparities in the infrastructures are highlighted and faced at almost all the cases, which means that we need to have targeted support and innovation transferred between us and internal and externally to bridge these gaps, not just for the treatment part, but for the overall benefit of a water-wise society. In total, the widening countries have a population of 125 million people, adding up to the rest of 14 associated ones with 205 million. So the widening countries, here we have key statistics only for the European Union ones, sum up to a total number of 330 million people, which is a large number and with high societal impact in this region. Now let's jump into the state of play at the EU water policy. And we can know that the EU water policy has already evolved from pollution control to reuse mandates, and now we are trying to be societally smart and adopt circularity principles. Here we present to you a highlight, let's say, of the water policy timeline spanning from 1960s, where we have the first CAP. Even EU didn't form in this let's say federal or centralized government system that we have. You can see that from 1991 we have the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, which put the foundation all the legal framework for wastewater management in the EU. As you can see, it took some 30 to 40 years to expand and recast the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. You can follow up the color codes to see how the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive or even the Drinking Water Directive in 1998 have been recasted 4 years ago. And of course, in 2000, where we have the Water Framework Directive, which established the framework for the EU water policy. You can see in the meantime some other, let's say, pieces of legislations and legal instruments like the Floods Directive, the Groundwater Directive, or the Industrial Emissions Directive. Now, I hope that you can see my pointer. And then we have some revisions of the Common Agricultural Policy. In 2019, we have the introduction of Green Deal, which also paved the road to a more holistic approach about what is happening in our environment and in economic terms also. And of course, we have in 2024, the recast Urban Water Treatment Directive. Last year, we have the Nature Restoration Law. And by this year, with a new mandate from the European Commission, we expect to have a very innovative and very forward-looking water resilience strategy. Here we created the cross-check about what we expect to happen in the field of the implementation of the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. I'm not going to be super analytic here because it's hard to follow up, but for this purpose, we have selected for you the 5 main themes that we believe that the new recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive brings in. And the first one is the treatment level, that it introduces quaternary treatment for micropollutants and makes the tertiary treatment broadly mandatory for more than 10,000 people equivalent. It has a special focus on industrial wastewater by introducing the expanded producer responsibility. It introduces also energy and climate targets for energy neutrality and renewable energy integration in the facilities. It promotes also the monitoring and digitization of the operations of the urban wastewater treatment plants. And of course, it mandates the reuse and the circular economy principles into the operation by phosphorus recovery, safe water reuse, and nutrients recovery in the urban wastewater treatment plants from now on. Let's now have a short introduction about what happened with the water reuse regulations introduced in 2020, where we have 4 key elements by enabling the safe and cost-efficient reuse for treated water. We have introduced also to resource efficiency in the role of reuse in reducing the pressure on freshwater resources, while it also provides a uniform EU framework about how this regulation can be implemented in a harmonized way. And of course, by introducing the risk management plans, it has a transparent information sharing between the actors of agricultural producers, the users, and of course, the government or other compliant or check compliant organizations. As already said in the introduction by Hande, we have a new mandate by the EU Commission for the next 5 years, starting from 2024, and we have the new Commissioner on Environment, Water Resilience and the Competitive Circular Economy, introducing already 6 key aspects to be implemented. The first one is to advance the circular economy, that we lead initiatives that achieve zero pollutions. If you recall that we have significant pressures exerted in all kinds of water bodies, surface and groundwater, and we need to make a special focus on this. We expect to lead the new European water resilience strategy, focusing also in water security for Europe. It is considered that by the end of the summer, we will have this document public. Of course, to utilize public and private investments in technology and cross-border infrastructure and lead the development of a strategy and strengthen the water security in Europe. Here are some highlights about the water resilience strategy in 2025. We expect that it will accelerate in actual terms on the ground the digital water management, that it will further create some water smart regulatory investment frameworks. It will promote and boost the cross-sector and cross-border collaboration, and of course it will also embed water resilience in the climate adaptation and decarbonization efforts. Now let's jump in the WaterWise Excellence Hub. What is the Water Excellence Hub? WaterWise Excellence Hub, actually, we launched in January 2025. We are 5 months old, and we came under the Horizon WIDERA 2023 Access 7 call, where this area is focused on the widening countries. What is the widening countries? Widening countries are a set of countries where, in terms of research and innovation and adaptation of new technologies and societal transformation, are quite lag behind the rest of the Europe. So we had the common problem to solve, that our countries suffer from all the water challenges, but we also lack the innovation to product and uptake. We have in our partnership 3 actually leading European water institutes, one from Netherlands, the KWR, and our colleagues from UK, University of Exeter and University of Cranfield. The project is coordinated by NTUA in Greece, and in total involves 21 institutions across Greece, Romania, the Western Balkans, and the Eastern Partnership countries. Here you can see that we use the quadruple helix innovation model by bringing together the government, the academia, the civil society, and the industry, where we actually deployed our partners in all quadrants of the helix. Here you can see how our partnership informed with National Technical University, our partners from IEKE, UTCB, ECOIND, Cranfield Universities from the academia part. We have the Fondacia Comunitaria Bucuresti and Build Grindingbrook from the civil society. Our industry partners are very influential, starting from Greece with the Hellenic Federation of Enterprises, ROTSA, the highway of, let's say, the hub of startups at the Romania, innovative partners like Matins and Tethys, and our dissemination partner and knowledge creator, Psycho. And then we have strong government links with within the quadrant of government. We have the Hellenic Association of Water Utilities in Greece and the Green Fund, a part of a Special Operations Office in Greece in the Ministry of Environment, which promotes circular economy and environmental friendly programs. What part of the helix is important? I would say everything, because each part of the helix has to play its role. So by using the quadruple helix innovation model, we involve all the partners that ensure actually social acceptance, we promote the sustainable development and social responsibility, and we bring the best from each of the quadrants. For the public sector, how we can shape policies and regulatory frameworks in an indicative way. For the academia and the research community, we have the high level of expertise, innovation programs, scientific knowledge. Of course, private sector and businesses plays also a significant role because they also work in the ground with the practical applications of technologies and innovation. And last but not least, we have the civil society spanning from local communities to citizen groups, NGOs, and so on, which provide the social legitimacy and participation of the whole society. So what is the key idea in the quadruple helix innovation model is that we have a balance, and through the balance, we will have a real impact on the ground. Here you can see also how we formalized the WaterWise ecosystem and how we designed and we expect to interact. You can see that we have the cluster of Greece and Romania, which are creating the core ecosystem. We have also the regional champions from Serbia, Albania, North Macedonia, Moldova, and Ukraine. And with the help of our high developed and technology innovators from KWR, University of Exeter, and University of Cranfield, you can see how these solutions are going to be fused in our ecosystem. So we plan to have technology acceleration, the innovation fusion between the let's say advanced and the widening region, and to plan a real world deployment of solutions. Now let's see how we formalized and how we built our work on the WaterWise Hub, which is organized in 3 building blocks. The first one is the cross-border joint research and innovation strategy development, the academia business collaboration and entrepreneurship, and the knowledge transfer training and mentoring. Here you can see how we are going to deploy our cross-border joint research and innovation strategy by developing cross-border strategies aligned with all EU policies, and how we are going to integrate the digital transformation. We're going to form a quadruple helix think tank, which brings in multi-stakeholder support from all kinds of the helix. We are going to map the technologies and innovations in place, and how we can integrate AI systems, how we can promote the decentralized treatment, and how we are going to develop circular economy models specifically for the water sector. Of course, we are going to find alternative funding mechanisms from within the consortium and outside, and we are going to develop a strategic plan to implement research and innovation projects. On the second part of our building block is the academia business collaboration and entrepreneurship, where we are going to indicatively five main actions about developing joint pilot projects, which are going to provide strategic, tactical, and operational decision making in order to better integrate decentralized circular water solutions with existing centralized infrastructure. This is also part of the new mandate of the recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive to include even the smallest of small villages or small agglomerations under this let's say umbrella of the urban wastewater treatment. One of our key and we hope that we plan it in a successful way, is to deploy open calls for small, medium enterprises and startups, where we are going to support 10 to 20 external pilot projects through competitive open calls. Of course, we are going to bind in with Innovation Acceleration Program and the Residency Program, which are going to provide access to the innovators in our workspaces and support our technology parks and research and development facilities. And of course, we have to organize innovation challenges to attract the young innovators and early stage startups to develop solutions for circular water management. Now let's go to the knowledge transfer and training mentoring building block, where we also plan to have a real, let's say, rich program to actually build training programs. We will have also the opportunity to discuss and train to schools, to organize workshops in order to upskill professionals and researchers and decision makers on how we approach and how we design and how we implement circular water management in this challenging field. Of course, we are going to deploy our mentoring program to also connect experienced professionals with early stage researchers. We are going to, let's say, exploit our strategic partnership with Water Europe in order to link our results and let's say the materials, the practices, all the networking opportunities, the knowledge that we create in the Knowledge Hub, which we call it WaterWise Knowledge Hub, and this will be directly linked with the Water Europe website. This will be an open platform, and we are going to make more announcements in the months to come. And in the end, we have the innovation challenges and networking, where, in like with the water tech challenges, we are going to organize additional hackathons, competitions, and networking events to further bring the actors of the helix to collaborate, to find solutions to the problems, and to identify the proper investment and business models in order to expand the water circularity. Now let's have a look where the WaterWise Hub actually fits in the existing water European policy landscape. As you can see, our design is grounded to how we evolve the priorities and the strategy of the European Union, as indicated in our previous slides about the historic policy timeline. We started from the very first Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. We jumped into the Drinking Water Directive. We have the Water Framework Directive. Now we have the Water Reuse Regulations and the recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. We have the Industrial Emissions Directive, and so on. So you can see that with the cross-reference mapping that we had implemented, the main focus is that it's nice to discuss, or maybe to consider as more innovative about how the WaterWise Hub fits in. For example, about the Industrial Emissions Directive and how this is brought to the dimension to facilitate circular economies and the reuse. The WaterWise Hub's mandate is to create industrial symbiosis strategy, and when it links to the recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, to promote coupled water energy systems. When it comes to how we transfer technology and innovation, in terms of, for example, for water reuse regulation, we are going to emphasize in decentralized systems and reuse applications, since many of the activities that the water reuse regulation promotes, which is focused in the agricultural sector, most of the cases are outside in the rural areas, which can be considered highly decentralized. Another part we can also discuss is how we are going to plan the capacity building and knowledge sharing linked with the policies that are upcoming, because we are going to have training programs, monitoring programs that will also lead into energy neutrality and compliance under the new recast urban wastewater treatment directive, and of course to improve the stakeholder skills and overall the governance of the water sector, meeting the new and high level requirements from the upcoming water resilience strategy. Another part could be also to see how we strengthen the policy alignment and the regional integration by mentoring and training regional authorities. For example, in terms of the Industrial Emissions Directive, we have also compensating the lack of readiness in member states needing institutional strengthening also under the new mandate of the recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, and of course under the new water resiliency strategy to strengthen the transboundary multi-stakeholder collaboration through new engagement schemes for the stakeholders. Here we can see our timeline to deliver our plan. We are in the first semester of 2025. In total, our project consists of 8 work packages. As you can see, we have actually 3 phases of how we are going to deploy, and now we are implementing the phase 1, with how we develop our research and innovation strategy and how we are going to plan to enhance further the collaboration and knowledge transfer. And we have also the typical activities of project management and of course our dissemination, communication and exploitation strategies. Now let's jump into the last part of our presentation to present to you some early results from our quadruple helix stakeholders mapping. Actually, what we expect from this exercise to obtain a comprehensive stakeholders landscape across all the quadrants and to see how their roles, their influence, the levels, or the interests can be meet the expectations and respect the water innovation in water for circular economy. It will also help us understand the policy orientation and sectorial focus, because it's very different to discuss with stakeholders from the agricultural sector, which is highly seasonal, let's say, in the risk operations, while discussing with water utilities and suppliers or wastewater suppliers and or industrial producers. We expect also to identify the engagement and collaboration pathways, and in the end, the stakeholder mapping will provide the who, why, and how we are going to establish the WaterWise think tank, which we plan not to be just a symbolic think tank, but a functional, catalytic cross-sector water innovation in the widening regions, which we plan to have in further activities and workshops to provide guidance and further circular economy for water uptake to improve the impact in the most needed countries in the widening region. Now let's see some initial results about the mapping of the quadruple helix. You can see here we split into major groups in the ecosystem from Greece and Romania and the rest of the regional champions, where we can see that we have already mapped more than 400 entities, parts of the quadruple helix innovation model, and we have the color code from academia, business, government, and society. Of course, this is an ongoing work, but you can also see how our colleagues from the consortium have mapped the major actors of the quadruple helix model. The results about the legal status and the oversight tiers from the stakeholders can be seen here, where you can see on the left side of the slide that the major part of our stakeholders are private and as a second part in public. So it's also, let's say, creates the two poles of the helix that are more strong. But this doesn't mean that the rest smaller in size are not important, but also it indicates how easy or difficult it is to map and find stakeholders from non-profit NGOs or from the rest of the legal status they share. The other part is the oversight tier of the stakeholders. As you can see here, we have stakeholders strongly linked with the national level, which is the light blue color. We have some regional actors that operating in the countries. We have some international and local local level oversight stakeholders, and of course we have some minor at EU level. Also, this brings up the results that we have to better mobilize what we have in this region, and how these national and regional stakeholders can play the role in order to better implement on the ground water solutions for promoting the circularity principles. In the end of the mapping, we have also focused in the two dimensions about the influence and interest levels. The influence level is how influential is, let's say, a part of the helix, despite it is government or it is academia, or how the reach they have, if even they are on national at regional level. As you can see, we have a very high influence, let's say, stakeholders in all parts of our consortium. We have some medium and low, of course, but already we have to better identify the influence levels with the gray area, which is going to be part of a new exercise that we are going to deploy the next months. And this will also help us to better understand the dynamics of stakeholders and how we further improve our impact and promotion of the circular economy solutions in water. The interest level is also a non-easy to quantify metric, because you may know how governments or businesses or academia operate, but it's very it is very focused on the individual level other than the institutional level. So we are trying to better understand how this can be mapped, and this is also an ongoing work for the rest of the months. So what are the key lessons learned and what are going to do in our next phase? We are already, let's say, confirmed that all the stakeholders landscape is very broad. We have dominance of business and government actors in the helix, but we need to better integrate academia and civil society quadrants in order to better, let's say, diffuse and spread the knowledge about the expertise of the water in circular economy. It will also need the parts for the trainings and the legitimacy of these solutions that are going to be implemented on the ground. We have high strategic leverage, primarily at the national level, which means that a lack of local or regional and municipal level actors could delay the implementation of the ground. But these organizations and stakeholders are quite hard to identify or to engage with, because may identify, but maybe their interest or the influence level is very limited due to the overall setup of the domain. It is, as I said already, it is hard to identify the interest levels for deeper engagement, and we have some policy-ready stakeholders because we already have 2 member states of the EU in our partnership, so we know that we are aligned with the core policies of the EU, already discussing the timeline that we have before. And these policy-ready stakeholders, we believe that will be an easy ground that fit in and validate our upcoming strategic and tactical toolboxes. And we need to find more connections with the funding ecosystems, because the finance, investment, or other international donors will further help us to establish our fund finder portal and actually implement the action and investment plan. Last, let's share with you our vision beyond 2028, where we planned 6 major intermediate actions that will ensure the WaterWise Hub sustainability, is to identify the continuous funding and investment options through Horizon Europe or structural funds or green bonds, etc. We are going to make our acceleration, residency, and mentoring programs sustainable by ensuring that the WaterWise Innovation Accelerator and the Technology Transfer Office can be funded to be operational beyond the project. We are going to build up partnerships with educational and training service providers, so we maintain our training programs. We are going to work towards tighter integration with the existing innovation ecosystems in order to establish a broader presence in the field. We are going, of course, to connect with policy and work advocacy and public engagement with regulators, and going to provide them with tools that they need also to drive the policy reform and support the water innovation. And in the end, we are going to explore also the establishment of the hub as a legal entity with a clear business model in order to let's say, identify the most suitable legal structures and to have sustainable revenue streams like memberships or consultancy services and grant funding. And that would be all from my side. Thank you for your attention. You can also reach us in our email at info@waterwisehub.eu, and I'm happy to answer to your questions.
Dear George, thank you so much for the insightful presentation. Yes, dear Terry, please go ahead.
So I didn't mean to cut you off, Hande. Also, so George, thank you very much. Lots of really good information. So in the chat, I don't know if you know this or not, but I think we're really close to having a bilateral Greek-Turkish call opening up. And the thematic areas are bioscience, agri-food, sustainable energy, materials, cultural tourism, and circular economy. And so, as you know, one of my main motivations for launching this webinar series was to try to catalyze follow-up proposals and new networks. And so if you look at these thematic areas of bioscience, agri-food, sustainable energy, materials, cultural tourism, and circular economy, can you talk a little bit about which areas you think that your partners may be able to contribute to a proposal if we think about forming a consortium?
Yes, of course. We have in our consortium, we have let's say a wide range of partners. As said before, and in the introduction, the water plays a significant role in the part of the environment and the economy, and we believe that as an integrator, the water can be better fit with energy and the agro-food sectors, because it is a significant element that operates actually gives the fuel, the water that needs in order to grow food. And of course, water can be also considered as a renewable source. And because of energy scarcity, the renewable energy sources are critical in order to meet this demand. So what we believe is that between the three sectors, the water sector, the agri-food sector, and the energy sector, could be a very fertile ground in order to see new proposals to come in. And by saying this, we can imagine how the new energy mix that is happening and is being, let's say, developed during these years, the renewables plays a significant role to that, both in the economy part, and all by providing the energy.
Okay, thank you. Let me just add one thing. So I did try to open up the mic and camera for everyone just now. And so Katarina, if you can try to unmute and ask your question. So sorry to jump in, Hande. I'm going to be quiet now.
No worries. I believe Katerina has mentioned that she's unable to turn on her mic at the moment. But as the project coordinator of the Marine Technology Excellence Hub, the following question was referred. We are working on the same task, developing the R&I strategy. Our work package lead has already compiled a list of relevant policy documents. However, we've noticed there's no clear approach yet on how to analyze these documents, what exactly to focus on, whether we need to review all of them, or how to identify the most relevant ones. Could you please share how you're approaching this in your project? Are you facing similar challenges? You're muted?
Yes, sorry. Yes, I saw that. Can you please repeat the last part?
Especially the question is in regard to how the relevant documents are analyzed, if in fact you review them all, or do you focus on certain aspects, and if in fact you have or you face similar challenges in this regard in trying to associate the work with the policy relevant documents.
Yes, yes. Actually, this is an ongoing progress, and as our initial mapping of the policy line indicates, we have dozens of documents that coming up, and we have also the directives themselves and individual strategies that pop up every time that we need to face a challenge. Our strategy is quite simple, and I would say that we need to, and we work heavily in with our teams, that we actually read them all. And we have an initial scanning in these documents. We identify the focus area, so we make an initial clustering, let's say grouping of these documents, because it's different to discuss about drinking water directive or the urban wastewater treatment directive. Of course, we have the integrator directive, which is the water framework directive, identified that all the operations are happening in the river basins, but we have specific measures, specific requirements, specific compliance rules that we need to follow up. So it takes time. It's very time consuming. It takes energy in order to identify gaps or synergies between these directives. And of course, this also can be linked with existing or upcoming strategies of how these pieces of legislations are integrated in the end. Overall, this is a real challenge to integrate this implementations of directive, and it takes time.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Maybe. Yes. Please go ahead.
So as another question, you said that you have open calls to SMEs. Can you talk a little bit about the funding structure? Are you using the Horizon Excellence Hub funds for this call, or do you have other funding sources for this?
Yes. Thank you for this question, Derek. Actually, we have a dedicated budget within our reimbursement as a project. The main facilitator of this open calls fund is the Green Fund from Greece, part of the Ministry of Environment in Greece, where this team and these colleagues have very concentrated experiences on how they procure such calls, because they also worked with regional countries and within the country with specific challenges, environmental challenges like the forests, the integration of the new drinking water technologies for the environment, for the soil, and so on. So this team is very experienced on how they are going these open calls to be deployed, and we plan to. It depends on the participation of the SMEs and startups on these open calls. We expect that 15 to 20 open calls funds will be delivered through this Water Excellence Hub.
Okay.
Any questions from our audience? If I may, in this regard, first and foremost, thank you for the timely efforts of the project, as the water resilience strategy was also launched in 2025. It's great to see both your active foresight as well as your contributions to a more water smart society of the future. I would like to mention especially the importance of resilience and how it is defined in regard to these water systems. And as per definition, it mentions that it is the ability of water systems to cope with shocks and stressors caused by different climatic changes and other factors that are involved. Now, in this regard, especially in your definition of the project, you talk about closed loop systems and how effectively you work on these systems. Can you open up your system definition and the involvement in this regard? And again, another important implication, especially in the Green Deal, and you have also emphasized, is the importance of collaborating with neighboring countries, especially in regard to water usage and other especially common resources that are apparent in different proximal areas. So I'd like to get your insight in regards to how you define and why this definition is important on your part, and how you hope to expand this culture within the proximity of the contributing partners and their country collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you, Hande. This is a two-part question. First
Yes.
of all, for the water resilience strategy, as we face now the environmental problems in the European Union, resilience comes more and more important. Already, resilience and risk assessment has been introduced in the recast Drinking Water Directive about the risk assessment from the catchment up to the treatment plants. And of course, this also can be introduced in the recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. Indeed, the definition is how effectively a facility infrastructure or at the systemic level, the water sector can respond to shocks, or how fast it can recover from a flood or from a pollution accident event, on how we avoid accidents that happen in the water domain interest. As a second part of the question, I would say very simply that we share and we face the same challenges. So the same challenges are mainly the link of how we are going to deal with that. As you know, the water has many dimensions to be utilized in different parts of the society and the economy, and we believe that by employing the quadruple helix model, bringing all the actors together, and by bringing all the actors together and co-creating the solutions, it provides more impact in the ground. So the key to this approach is to better identify where we start. Different countries have different starting points, and the different starting points recognize the effort that needs to be met, but also the tools that every country can deploy in order to solve a problem. So as a WaterWise hub, actually we want to bring all the actors together to have sincere discussions on how these the water problems can be dealt with, and then to design pathways on how the circular economy, because we believe this is the next step of how our water system is going to work with closed loops, industrial symbiosis, water reuse, and so on, are going to solve these challenging issues. I hope I responded to your question. If I missed something, please let me know.
In regard to maybe like neighboring countries, because especially in the water resilience strategy, there is a unique distinction in regard to disruptive innovation within these systems altogether. And usually when there are two different systems, quote unquote, at hand, the fertility is usually at the brink of these two systems meeting together. So that's why I think the neighboring countries and the proximity, and especially extending the impact that you have with this project is important. And that's what I wanted to emphasize in regards to your efforts and your role. So thank you. Any further questions from the audience? If not, I'd like to give the word to dear George and dear Derek in regards to last and final comments, and maybe another reminder of our upcoming excellence hubs series that we have. Thank you again, George, for your informative talk. It was very useful on our part, and we hope to extend our collaboration. So the floor is yours, dear George. And then I will give the floor to Derek, please.
Thank you, Hande, for the kind words. Actually, it was quite challenging to present so many dimensions of a new project and what is happening in the field. I hope that we acted as a catalyst in order to create more questions about what is going to be happen and what and how WaterWise Hub is going to be implemented through its interesting tools and activities that is going to have, like the open calls we discussed, the innovation accelerator, the challenges, and so on, in order to engage and activate the water domain in the widening regions. And we hope that through this journey, by implementing all this quadruple helix model and by having all the actors on our side, we are going to develop and deploy very interesting and very helpful solutions for the water domain in terms of applicability, technologies, and even business models to further enhance the reach of circular economy in the water domain. Thank you again.
Okay, so I would also like to thank you, George, for the presentation. So you said that it was challenging to pull everything together. I hope that although it was challenging, it also provided you an opportunity to organize your thoughts and that you will see some benefits from the effort. Also, from the Solar Hub Excellence Hub perspective, I do see a lot of opportunities for inter-project collaboration, both in like a thematic area of water energy and even food, water, energy nexus, but also more horizontally in just innovation, entrepreneurship, and all these other cross-cutting issues. And I do hope that we see some benefits in terms of follow-up proposals, specifically to this bilateral call. And then finally, I would like to remind everyone that we do have 2 more Excellence Hub webinars this spring. The first one is on June 13th, which is Changing, Connected Hubs and Aging, Healthy Living to Protect Cerebrovascular Function. And the last one is June 27th, Metacities, an Excellence Hub in Southeastern Europe. And so at this point, I would like to thank everyone for joining us and hope to see you at the next webinar. So thank you.
Thank you.